If tomorrow a single industry stopped working, your phone wouldn't turn on, cars wouldn't ship, banks would freeze, AI systems would go dark, modern weapons would stop functioning, and it wouldn't be because of oil. The most important resource on Earth today is smaller than a grain of rice. You use it every day. You depend on it. But almost no one understands who controls it. This is the story of the new oil. Let's take a step back. In the 20th century, power came from energy. Oil ran factories, oil moved armies, oil decided which countries dominated the global economy. If you controlled oil, you controlled growth. Look at the world today. What actually drives power now isn't just energy, it's intelligence. The ability to process information, to automate decisions, to run AI, financial systems, and modern weapons in real time. And all of that runs on one thing: semiconductors. That's why chips aren't just another technology. They've taken the role oil once had. Now here's the key difference, and this is where the comparison with oil breaks down. Oil was powerful because it fueled the world, but oil was always replaceable. It could be found in many countries, it could be transported, it could be stockpiled, and over time, it could be substituted. Semiconductors don't work like that. Here's where semiconductors become dangerous. Strategically dangerous. With most resources, if demand rises, supply eventually follows. More mines open, more wells are drilled, more producers enter the market. That logic breaks down completely with advanced semiconductors, because this isn't a normal industry. To manufacture cutting-edge chips, you don't just need money. You need years of accumulated expertise, extreme precision, and systems where a single defect can destroy an entire batch. Only a very small number of facilities on Earth can produce the most advanced chips. Fewer countries can support them. Fewer companies can operate them, and no one can replace them quickly. That means something critical. When supply is disrupted, the world doesn't just slow down, it stalls. Not because alternatives don't exist, but because they don't exist at the same level. And once you understand the bottleneck, the next question becomes unavoidable. Who controls it? Before we talk about companies, we need to talk about the place. Taiwan. Why Taiwan became central. Taiwan became central to the world's semiconductor supply for three very specific reasons. First, Taiwan doesn't produce for itself. This is the most important and the least understood. Taiwan doesn't use its chip industry to build its own global tech brands. It doesn't compete with its customers. That made Taiwan and its manufacturers neutral. Companies around the world could rely on Taiwan without worrying that their supplier would become their competitor. Trust is rare at this scale. Taiwan built its entire position on it. Second, extreme specialization. Taiwan didn't try to do everything. It focused on one thing: manufacturing semiconductors at the highest possible level. Decade after decade, process after process, precision above all else. While others chased consumer products, Taiwan perfected infrastructure. Third, an ecosystem that locked itself in place. Over time, everything needed to make advanced chips cluster in one location: engineers, suppliers, equipment, know-how. Once that ecosystem formed, it became almost impossible to move. Not because others didn't try, but because you can't copy decades of coordination. And just to put this into context, building a single advanced semiconductor fabrication plant doesn't cost millions. It costs tens of billions of dollars, and that's before it produces a single usable chip. Even more important, the most critical machines used to manufacture the world's most advanced chips are produced by only one company, ASML. Without those machines, it doesn't matter how much money you have. you simply cannot produce. Today, more than 90% of the world's most advanced chips are made by one company, TSMC. And to understand why that matters, you need a bit of context. When people talk about advanced chips, they are talking about how small manufacturers can physically make them. We're now at the point where features are measured in nanometers. Smaller chips just mean you can do way more computing using way less energy. Today, the race to the 2 nanometer class is the finish line for AI supremacy. A lot of companies are trying to get there, even the biggest names, like Samsung or Intel. But so far, only one company has consistently shown it can do this reliably at scale. That's TSMC. The most powerful companies in the world don't just work with TSMC. For example, one of the biggest TSMC's customers is Apple. They sell one of the best and most popular phones around the world. They sell many tech products like computers and hardware that many people rely to work, communicate, watch news, or any content in the internet. And Apple rely on TSMC's highest end technology to create these products. Same case with other companies like AMD, one of the biggest CPU manufacturers. They are present in a huge part of the computer market, and they also rely on TSMC's technology to create their products. NVIDIA, one of the biggest companies in the planet, and the flagship company in the AI revolution, also uses TSMC's technological advances. These companies and many more now rely on this single company, TSMC, to create the most advanced technological products. This means TSMC has the only key to the future of computing with them, and it has it centralized in Taiwan, where their best factories are located. This means something profound. Control over the future of computing doesn't sit with the brands you recognize. It sits with the company that built the brains inside their product. And when a single company becomes this central to the global system, governments stop treating it like a business and start treating it like a strategic asset. Once a resource becomes this central, it stops being a business issue. It becomes a question of power. And that's why semiconductors sit at the center of the strategic rivalry between the United States and China. Think about what we've established so far. Semiconductors sit at the narrowest point of the modern economy. They set the limits on artificial intelligence, military systems, advanced manufacturing, economic growth. So the real question becomes, what does each side need from this system to feel safe? Start with the United States. The US already sits inside the dominant technology ecosystem. Its companies design the most advanced chips. Its standards shape global software. Its alliances protect key supply chains. So the US problem is not access. The US problem is disruption. The goal isn't to shut the system down. That would hurt everyone, including the US. The goal is to keep the bottleneck predictable. By using tools like targeted tariffs and export controls, they are making rivals pay a sovereignty tax for every step they take. Predictable access, predictable allies, predictable outcomes. That's why influence matters more than ownership. If the US can shape how fragile points are protected, then it doesn't need to dominate every factory. It just needs to make sure the system never turns against it. Now, look at the same system from the position of China. China is deeply integrated into the global economy, but when it comes to advanced semiconductors, it sits downstream of decisions it doesn't control. That creates a permanent problem. For China, the problem is strangulation. Because as long as access to chips can be restricted, delayed, or conditioned, every long-term plan carries uncertainty. From China's point of view, this isn't about competition. It's about exposure to rules it didn't write, exposure to supply chains it doesn't control, exposure to decisions made elsewhere. So China's strategy isn't about winning today. It's about removing that exposure tomorrow, even if that means slower performance, higher cost, imperfect technology, because a chip that is slightly worse but fully controlled is strategically safer than a better chip that can disappear. The United States is trying to manage dependence without breaking the system. China is trying to escape dependence even if it means rebuilding parts of the system. What matters here is not which side is right or which side moves faster. What matters is what this rivalry reveals. It reveals that semiconductors are no longer just inputs into the global economy. They are constraints that shape decisions long before products are built or policies are announced. When the world's most powerful countries begin reorganizing themselves around a single resource, that resource stops being strategic. It becomes foundational. And why this matters to you? You don't need to become a technologist to understand this world. You need to understand structure, who controls access, who sets limits, who others must wait for. Because once you understand how power actually moves, you start to see patterns early. You recognize when something is becoming a bottleneck, when a dependency is turning into leverage, when decisions are being made long before they show up in the news. That skill compounds. It helps you make better business decisions, assess risk more clearly, understand why markets move the way they do, and avoid being blindsided by unexpected events. Once you see the structure, the world feels less chaotic. Not because it's simpler, but because it becomes legible. And that is the real value of understanding strategic assets, not prediction, orientation.